Hi there, everybody. Welcome to What's Next, the show where we uncover 4 big stories from across the world of Web3, tech, and crypto, discuss what they mean and what's next. My name is Sam Golden.
And I'm Daniel Fogg. Sam, tell me, Boltz, non-custodial Bitcoin bridge, what's happening here?
Yeah, this is pretty incredible. So the user experience of moving Bitcoin between layers just got even easier. What that means is basically atomic swaps between the leading Bitcoin layers have now become a reality thanks to the team at Boltz. This means users can now move Bitcoin from Bitcoin main chain to Lightning, to Liquid, and to Rootstock in a fully non-custodial way. So it means that people keep control of their keys, keep control of their coins, and can move really seamlessly and quickly and cheaply through the different Bitcoin layers. We talked about this a little bit in the past, Daniel, you might remember.
Yeah, I think this is the second phase of this integration, right? So we saw a Rootstock Lightning atomic swap feature launch, I think a couple of weeks ago, but now we're seeing it between Rootstock and the Bitcoin main chain and Liquid. So this is, I mean, one of the things I think this is really cool is you've got Bitcoin and then you've got the 3 original 2018 launched Bitcoin L2s, Bitcoin scaling solutions. These are the OGs.
Yeah,
official.
It's really cool. And I think what's really nice is people can move their Bitcoin between these different layers and take advantage of the different benefits each of these layers has. So obviously you've got Lightning for fast, cheap payments. You've got Liquid for confidential transactions. And then you've got Rootstock for Bitcoin DeFi. So staking, lending, borrowing Bitcoin in a permissionless way. So really exciting.
Tell me, so I know the answer to this, but I think maybe the audience might benefit. Why does permissionlessness matter?
Yeah, great question. I think it's basically a lot of the times people don't want to lose control of the custody of their coins. You've seen in the past a lot of issues that have arisen through centralization, people losing funds, Mt. Gox being the original example in the world of Bitcoin. People stored their Bitcoin on an exchange that got hacked and they lost their funds. So the security and custody of Bitcoin is really important. And I think this extends beyond Bitcoin and to the rest of Web3 as well. People don't like having to hand over their coins to someone else to get the benefits.
So nobody's permission required in order to move value between these different Bitcoin scaling solutions, and no custodian holding on to that value for you and acting as an intermediary. And that custodian could have issues, right? It could go down, it could get hacked, as you say. There could be some kind of latency issue. It might not happen at the speed and with the efficiency or at the cost you want. You are essentially trusting someone to hold your money. Whereas with a non-custodial solution, it's all happening on chain.
Exactly. Yeah. And it makes it super exciting. And then I've heard really good things about the Boltz support team for actually using the interface as well. What's really cool is obviously now today, anyone can go to Boltz.exchange and move their Bitcoin into Rootstock and start exploring the world of Bitcoin DeFi. But as well as that, if you're a developer of an exchange or a wallet or any other kind of app, you can now take what Boltz has built and integrate that into your solution. So you can imagine these like Bitcoin wallets of the future where you've got your payment account, which is Lightning. You've got your super safe Swiss bank account, which is Bitcoin main, and then using Rootstock and Liquid for the different benefits they bring as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think when you think about usability of an ecosystem, the first step that anybody takes is get the native gas token. So for Rootstock, this is massive because you can go from Bitcoin to Rootstock in a non-custodial permissionless way, get RBTC and go into the ecosystem without having to engage with a centralized exchange, but also without having to go through the kind of turbo, super secure, non-custodial, permissionless PowPeg, which is still the most performant Bitcoin bridge in operation today, but takes some time because of the security required to confirm that transaction on the Bitcoin main chain.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think this is a great, okay, I want to dip my toe into Rootstock. Let's go. I want $100 of RBTC. Let's see what I can do.
Yeah, and I think for me, and for you as well, I know we've been to loads of conferences this year. The Bitcoin conferences, it's so easy to pay with Lightning. When I get back from one of those conferences, I want to be able to move that Lightning back into Rootstock or Bitcoin main. This is a way of really quickly doing it, and vice versa. So when I need to top up my Lightning wallet next time I head over to a conference, I can just quickly bridge some RBTC into Lightning and start paying.
Which Lightning wallet do you use?
I use Wallet
I
of
know you're
Satoshi.
quite a big, you're a heavy user of Lightning, right? What do you use?
I use Wallet of Satoshi when I'm out and about, just because it allows me to quickly top things up. This is not a good example of custody, because Wallet of Satoshi is actually it's not self-custody.
I've used Moon quite a bit. UUN, Argentinian team, well respected, well liked. But yeah, the absence of Rootstock integration made it a bit of a dead end for me. But of course, that's fine. It's a pure Bitcoin Lightning wallet. It'd be really cool to see. I mean, in terms of Bitcoin L2, Bitcoin scaling solution, super wallets, it'd be really cool to see. I don't know if there are any wallets today that integrate both Bitcoin, Liquid, Rootstock, and Lightning. Interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe we can try and find a team and profile them on here in the future.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I know the team at Warby focused on building something like this. They already support RBTC and Liquid today. I'm not sure if Lightning is there yet, but it's probably on their roadmap. But that gives you a lot of what we're talking about at the moment. So you can see your Bitcoin across each of those different chains on a single screen. You can access swaps on each of those chains through integrations. And I know the team at Warby are looking at integrating Boltz as well to make those swaps between chains even easier too. So yeah, I mean, that's the dream. You have one wallet, you can do all of the stuff you want with your Bitcoin.
What I like about this is I think there's often a lot of attention put in crypto on big releases, white papers, token launches, massive protocol upgrades, hard forks, these kind of big pivotal moments that represent a big shift for that ecosystem or that protocol. There's not enough attention paid to like, okay, we made a little usability improvement, or actually we kind of added this additional feature, or this particular protocol integrated, which then unlocks this problem. And honestly, 80-90% of how ecosystems improve is those kind of those kind of incremental improvements, those integrations which make one thing a little bit easier or provide a second or third option. And that's what I love about this. This is something that, yeah, it's another really easy entryway into Rootstock. It's good for the other Bitcoin scaling solutions as well. And it just makes the Rootstock a little bit easier to deal with. And I think that's I love this kind of. These are kind of the unsung integrations or the unseen hard work of improving an ecosystem. Great integrations like this that make everyone's life easier.
Yeah, I love it. And you can see that from the community as well. The amount of people who've been asking for this integration and now are celebrating because it's been delivered. It shows that it's something that people wanted, and looking forward to seeing what comes next. All right.
So what is next?
Let's dive into what's next. So some big news from one of the leading DAOs on Rootstock this week with the launch of a brand new feature, Collective Rewards. RootstockCollective is a DAO that was launched earlier this year with a goal of basically incentivizing everyone beyond the Bitcoin miners and the Bitcoin holders. So users of Bitcoin L2s and builders on Bitcoin as well. It's been doing that so far through a decentralized grants program, and this week announced the launch of Collective Rewards for both the Bitcoin builders and the users backing those projects. I know you've been diving a little bit into the white paper, Daniel. What's your take on all of this?
So this is all, the Collective Rewards program is based on the Curve Finance and Aave, what was referred to as a bribe market. We've enhanced it a little bit, but it is this has proved a really significant and effective way to incentivize decentralized communities to grow ecosystems and rewards. So we're really excited about this. Backers and builders become the new future of Rootstock. Why do we do this and what does it mean? This is about value capture. Sam, we've been talking about this for a long time. The challenge with building a value capture mechanism when the native token is Bitcoin. And really this is the collective, and now the builders and backers within the Collective Rewards program. This creates a way for people who are building the Rootstock ecosystem to also get rewarded for doing so as well, and for the investors, if you will, the stakers, to also participate in that. So all of the people trying to build Rootstock, all of the builders trying to build Rootstock can now capture value from the network itself. This is a big step forward.
Really exciting and super cool. So where did the rewards come from, and why are the builders incentivized to be building on Rootstock through this process?
Yes, there's a couple of different places. Initially, there was an injection of capital from RootstockLabs as basically seed funding to try and get this up and running. It was a donation that was provided. But the plan is really to take the 19% of ecosystem development capital that's generated by the network itself. So just to back up here a little bit, of the 100% of fees that are generated by Rootstock, 79% are distributed to Bitcoin miners who merge mine with Rootstock. 2% goes to the federation, original federation signers, now the PowPeg pegnatories. And then 19% currently goes to RootstockLabs to grow the ecosystem. And we're taking that 19% and sending all of that over to the RootstockCollective. And we hope to go through a full voting process to formalize that in January, February next year. So you've got an initial sort of pot of seed funding from RootstockLabs, and then you've got the 19% that's going to go in 2025 as well. But wow. In addition,
you're basically saying we've got transaction fees on Rootstock now going to the Bitcoin miners securing the network, the builders and the users of Rootstock through the RootstockCollective, and then the PowPeg members who are basically securing that bridge between Bitcoin and Rootstock for their contributions to scaling Bitcoin as well.
Exactly. And removing RootstockLabs as the incentivized scaling organization, if you will, of the ecosystem, and putting the collective out there in the front. And then anybody who stakes RIF can then participate in that journey. I think there's an important note here, which is like, what role does the token play? Does the RIF token play? So when RIF was originally launched, it was proposed as essentially a gas token for scaling protocols on the network. RIF is now a gas token for about 8 different RIF protocols, including Relay, I think, which was a implement, or maybe even Flyover, which the Boltz team, which we talked about a second ago, used in their implementation of the Rootstock integration, which is great. Flyover also can take RIF tokens, and this has now become integrated into the PowPeg in fast mode, which I think, if you check out the PowPeg, you can see RIF protocol live functioning in the background of that. There's also RIF is used as the collateral for a US dollar pegged algo stablecoin, which is USD RIF, which is a kind of an active stablecoin in the RIF economy. But what RootstockCollective does for RIF is it imbues it with an entirely new use case, and that's for governance and voting power. So it allows anybody to stake RIF and then gain control over the direction of the Rootstock ecosystem and participate in this mechanism we've just described. Yeah, and that's it's kind of more use cases for the RIF token, more utility for the token, and a say for RIF token holders in the future of Rootstock's growth. And so this has been a big piece of work that the community's been engaged in for a long time, and it's a big day. It's a big day that the collective rewards go live. But should we talk about what happens next?
Let's do it. Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what's happening next. For me, this is super exciting because you've got the Bitcoin remaining core to Rootstock as a network, but now RIF plays an increasingly important role in providing grants to Bitcoin builders, rewarding users of scaling solutions for Bitcoin, Rootstock in this case, and then also kind of paves the way to even further decentralization. So yeah, super exciting.
And we expect, so Tally has already integrated. Tally is I guess you call it like a DAO aggregator, a DAO governance aggregator. So Tally has now already integrated with Rootstock, which is great. It's the leading DAO aggregator in crypto. And we expect the collective to be integrated into Tally in the coming weeks. This means that all of the sort of people that are engaged in protocol governance across a range of different networks can now also access Rootstock through their kind of preferred tool. There's going to be more backers coming online, which is cool. I think there's about 4 or 5 integrated right now and kind of in the collective. I think we should be at 10 by the end of December, if I understand the DAO's intentions there. And it's going to be the engine's in the car. This thing's about to move. January, February, we expect protocol fees to go in. Tally integration is going to get done. More backers in. It should be really exciting to see how this develops. It's a big piece of work. I'm really thrilled that it's live.
Super exciting. Going to dive into the app and check out what's going on. Great. Should we dive into what's next?
Yeah, let's do it. BitVMX. Bitcoin rollups might be closer than we think. I mean, what are we talking about here, Sam? We've got our own horse in the race, which is BitVMX, partnership that we have had with Fairgate. for some time now. The team's been building for about 9 or 10 months, and there was a big announcement this week. Give us a little bit of context around where this sits within the wider sector and what's happened.
Yeah, for
what's
sure.
happened this week and why we're jacked.
Yeah, we've been talking about this a little bit as the great BitVM space race. So lots of teams racing to build better bridges to Bitcoin is ultimately where this all started. So as you know, Daniel, Bitcoin main, the core Bitcoin chain, has limited programmability. One of the biggest challenges with that is it's not able to communicate to other blockchains. So when you are moving or bridging Bitcoin into a layer 2, at the moment, it's very difficult to do that in a truly trust minimized way, because when the coins are burned on the sidechain or layer 2 and are released back into Bitcoin main chain, there needs to be some kind of organization or centralized party controlling that. And there's lots of different designs for bridges today between Bitcoin and Rootstock. We're really proud of the PALPEG using its defense in depth approach of multiple different security levels. Originally a simple federation, but now using hardware security devices. It's using Bitcoin's hash power to sign transactions. There are more simple bridges out there as well today that are literally just multi-sigs. But what the discovery of BitVM with Robin Linus, which was in October 2023, was all about, was understanding there's actually better ways to build bridges to different layers, but also run more computer programs secured by Bitcoin. So that's what's really exciting. You talked a little bit about BitVMX. The BitVMX team have been taking an approach to this, which is really interesting. Some of the other teams are very focused on just the bridging component, bridging from Bitcoin to a layer 2. Whereas BitVMX has taken a more general purpose approach to what they're designing, meaning you can basically run any computer program you wanted on Bitcoin. So a general purpose computation validation layer for Bitcoin. I mean, you can run any program in the world.
Yeah, I've been hearing lots of talk about chess, snake. I want to know when I can search for articles in 1995's Microsoft Encarta. That's what I care about. That's the future I'm jacked about. Can I learn how to type using Mavis Beacon on Bitcoin? No, joking aside, this is a big moment. There's been a huge team working on this. And so where are we now this week?
Yeah, so where are we now? The BitVMX team just announced they have a full proving system implemented and open source working on Bitcoin. So that means today a developer can take the BitVMX code, start experimenting with it, and start building things with it, including bridges between other layers and other blockchains and Bitcoin itself. So you can basically start verifying any arbitrary computation on Bitcoin using BitVMX. Concept has now gone from an idea to reality. The code is on paper and in GitHub, and people can start experimenting with it. What are we going to do with this code? Maybe you could share a little bit about what our idea is, Daniel, for BitVMX and how we think we can use it to improve Rootstock.
Yeah, last year, back in 2023, when one of our research team took me through what was possible with BitVM, I remember asking at the time, yeah, but what can we do with it? And the answer was very simple. We could build a much better bridge to Bitcoin, a completely non-custodial, trust minimized, trustless is very hard to achieve, but trust minimized bridge. And with some optimizations, we could get the cost of operating it really, really low. Cost of operating a BitVM 2 bridge today, I think, is still quite high. So we'll build a new bridge between Bitcoin and Rootstock with it. Name of that bridge is Union. We announced our plans on this a couple of months ago, and we're hoping it's going to be live in 2025. These things are tricky. Building bridges, forking protocols, these are some of the hardest things you can do, changing the consensus mechanism of blockchain. But I'm assured that next year we're going to have this thing up and running. So we're super excited about it. Better bridge to Bitcoin, enhancing and improving Rootstock's capability. It's what we're all about. And I think, one of the things I'd say about this is we've been very public with our intentions around this. And a lot of the work that the BitVMX team has done has been open, in public, loads of information being published. I think this matters. You would say, okay, but it's an open source technology ecosystem. Of course, everything's open. Actually, no. the more research that's been done into some of the Bitcoin scaling solutions that we've seen this year, the wave of Bitcoin L2s that have launched, increasingly a lot of that code is not open source. A lot of the bridging mechanisms, it's not entirely clear how they operate. And this matters, right? Because you're putting a lot of capital, a lot of trust into these networks. So it should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. We're really thrilled that this has been open sourced in the public way before it's gone live. And we're excited to see what people build with it, apart from just bridges to Bitcoin.
It's super exciting. Yeah, that's the really cool thing for me. It's basically a gift back to the Bitcoin community. Obviously, we've got the benefit of being able to use it to help improve how people move Bitcoin into Rootstock, but people could take this and do whatever they want with it. And I'm hoping we'll see some cool stuff. Last week, someone mentioned to me autonomous bug bounty programs. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but that's one of the kind of future use cases of BitVMX. So really exciting to see. And there's been a lot of buzz on Twitter, or X as it's now known, over the last 2 weeks about some of those use cases and some of the other blockchains exploring how they might be able to use BitVMX to create better bridges to Bitcoin as well. So super cool to see.
Love it. More progress, more advancement from the BitVMX team.
Yeah.
Cool. What's next?
Exciting. What's next? What's next? Well, we're going to zoom out a little bit here. This is the total market cap for crypto as a whole. It's now reached another all-time high, $3.29 trillion. I'm going to take you through a few of these charts, Daniel, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about what it means for crypto and Web3, where we are today, where we think we're going with this. So total market cap chart of the entire crypto industry here. The top 5 tokens within that, with Bitcoin obviously leading the way. Then the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So 1.4 trillion of the entire crypto market is other tokens. The other half.
So this is 1.4 trillion of a total of, what was it, 3.7, 3.79, something like this?
0.29.
3.3. Okay.
Yeah. So that's really interesting as it's whole. Exactly. Yeah. And then what I think is really interesting, maybe we can start at this part, is the bottom chart here. Today, only a very small fraction of that is locked in DeFi protocols. So this bottom chart we're looking at is total value locked in DeFi protocols across every blockchain in the world. And I mean, it's not small change. It's $200 billion plus dollars. But when you look at that market cap as a whole, you can really see how there is a lot of that capital which isn't actually being put to work in DeFi protocols. And maybe that tells us a little bit about the state of the market. I don't know how you're thinking about all of this, Daniel.
Yes, we're looking at less than 10%, sort of 8 or 9% actively used in DeFi. I mean, I think a couple of things to think about this. One is you would not expect all capital at all times within an economy to be quote unquote at work. You would expect a fair amount of it to be stored in some kind of stable form. But even in a mature economy, most of your assets are, if you think about retail finance, they're going to be basically in a savings account or in a current account. And certainly if they're in a savings account, they're yield bearing. You're getting a small percentage of interest there. And that is all being invested in the background into the wider economy. So even in a standard economy, the actual amount of capital at work is enormous by comparison to this. Be interested to see what the comparison is. But yeah, zooming out, what do I think? I mean, Bitcoin's rise continues. Still the pristine asset, still, the most widely adopted cryptocurrency, longest running, longest live. Number of holders is still enormous. Ethereum continues to challenge expectations as to where it would go. I think performance over the last sort of like couple of months in this kind of like second bull cycle of 2024 has been a little bit lackluster. People are a bit concerned about the impact that Ethereum L2s are having on the core value proposition of the main chain itself. And obviously all of that's being eaten away, not just by the L2s like Arbitrum and Optimism, but equally by the move chains, right? So I think that's Sui and Aptos and by Solana, of course. What's driving this, though? So we're looking here at market cap of the token. Market cap of the token is a kind of you're essentially, if it's a leading gas, if it's a gas token like Ethereum, let's take USDT and XRP out for a second. Look at ETH and Solana. What's driving this is expectation that the value prop will continue to be sustainable and become more attractive in the future. And therefore, the value of those tokens and the adoption of those platforms increases over time. But what's driving the growth in Solana today? Meme coins, right? The volatility, the sort of player versus player meme coins, the ability to price and financialize a cultural event or idea, which, no matter how strange it looks, continues to endure. We had NFTs before this, Bitcoin through runes and BRC20s and Taproot wizards. Bitcoin has its own version of this. And we had meme coins even before the kind of wave of, Joe Biden and Trump coins and all this kind of madness that happened over the last couple of months. We've had this with Doge, right? And Shiba Inu, the dog coin, the other dog coin,
Shiba Inu.
So we've had all of this, right? And it's not going away. And I think what's super interesting is that the exchanges, which are the centralized exchanges, which are the main venues for all of this speculation on these meme coins, there's a lot of volatility in these coins, which means that they're generating a lot of fees off the back of this. So all of the exchanges want the meme coin rally to continue. Is it sustainable? I don't know. What does this mean?
It's a tricky one. I mean, yeah, I think you put it really well before. A lot of this is driven by culture. It's like less financial instruments and more games, which can be okay, except for the fact there's large amounts of capital in play in these markets as well. Why has Solana become the new launching ground for the latest wave of memes? It's really cheap to get something launched. Exactly. Yeah. Anybody now, and we're seeing this already with the Hawk Twa girl launching her meme coin this week as well.
Are you long?
Everyone's doing it.
Hawk coin.
Yeah. Hawk coin.
Are you long Hawk coin, Sam?
I'm not commenting on my investment strategy with Hawk coin.
It's not financial advice.
It's not financial advice. Definitely not. Yeah, and I mean, we didn't talk about Tether as well. Why do you think Tether is right up there as well, Daniel?
The ability to transmit value in what is effectively US dollars instantly and cheaply cross-border between intercompany, intercontinental, remains a massive, enduring, successful and popular use case. Don't underestimate. I mean, for a long time there was a lot of FUD around Tether and around how the main volume being transmitted is settlements between crypto exchanges on a daily basis, and that may be true, but do not underestimate how the scale of the Tether USDT transmissions in emerging markets is, especially on platforms like Tron, which has proven an enduring home for USDT in emerging markets, where you can basically send dollars to a different account for fractions of a cent. It's remarkable. I mean, we talked about this last time we spoke, Sam. What is the use case of crypto? It's transmitting value. What is the asset in the world that has the most widely recognized stable value? It's the US dollar.
That's a really good point.
Everyone wants it during a period of turmoil, but not everybody can get a US dollar bank account. It's really hard to get them outside of America. But you can get a USDT account on any of the major networks, and you're away. You're holding what are effectively dollars. And I really think people are underestimating how powerful that's going to be in the decades ahead. And obviously, you've now got Circle. I don't know what the market cap of USDC is. I'm sure it's in the top 10. I think from last time I remember, it's somewhere around 80 billion amount of value locked in USDC.
Yeah.
So yeah, massive in emerging markets, massive with everyday DeFi use cases. This is going to continue growing. I would not be surprised. Maybe here's a prediction. We're about to hit 2025, maybe by 2030. I would be shocked if either USDT or USDC's market cap is not $1 trillion. I think that is I would say that's almost a safe bet.
Yeah.
This is going to keep running and running.
Yeah, and you've actually touched on another kind of trend I think we'll see continue as well there. When you talked about Tether being available across multiple chains, that's something we're seeing for some of these other assets as well. Bitcoin being the big one. typically you had wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum and you had Bitcoin on main chain. We talked earlier about RBTC and Bitcoin being moved into side chains like Rootstock.
Everyone's a Bitcoin L2 now, Sam.
Everyone's a
Bitcoin L2. Cardano's a Bitcoin L2. Ethereum's a Bitcoin L2. Everyone's a Bitcoin L2. Roll up. Anybody can be a scaling solution for Bitcoin. All you need is a shonky bridge and away you go. Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But it's interesting to see how Bitcoin has basically permeated, and I think will continue to spread across every single blockchain out there as more people want to get their hands on it. Obviously, we'd love to see them bring it back home to Bitcoin and Bitcoin sidechains like Rootstock. But it's great to see the kind of Bitcoin tentacles spreading across the rest of the crypto ecosystem as well. And I think that's reflected in this total market cap for excluding Bitcoin. If you think about how much Bitcoin that means contributes to the crypto market cap, it's pretty incredible.
Where do you think we're going to go next year? 25. Should we talk about that a little bit?
Let's
you got
do
any
it.
predictions? How's the market going to go?
Up and then down, and then up and then down.
Okay. So let me give you my view and you can tell me what you think. I think that we're going to continue to rush through until maybe January 2025. And we're going to be bouncing around $100,000. I'd be very surprised if it breaks through $100,000 per BTC. I just think the sell wall, as I've heard it described, was going to be hard to breach.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to breach. But so I think we're going to say that. Then I think we're going to retreat probably quite significantly through the spring. I don't know. I can't give you a price prediction. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up back down somewhere around 60 or 70,000. But then I think it's probably going to rally again. Sentiment and confidence grows during the summer. What would trigger that? I don't know. But equally, it could go in the other direction. Macro environment is like in this weird giddy state where lots of macro indicators are flashing red, and yet the US economy is absolutely roaring. Yeah, we'll have to see. More brighter minds than me can give a better prediction, but I think that we're going to see a peak, we're going to see a trough, and we're going to see a steady build again. But I don't think we're falling back below 60 or 70 per BTC, and then that being a proxy for the wider altcoin sector, which has been really rallying over the last couple of weeks, right?
Absolutely zooming. Yeah, I think you're probably on the mark there. I think you said to me, someone had told you, buy the election, sell the inauguration. I think that definitely rings true for me. What I think will be really interesting and something that we can't predict is obviously with something like the Bitcoin ETFs, we could see it coming. The filings were public. We could see it being discussed. What might not be so easy to predict is further nation state adoption. Because if you think about a nation state, they're not going to show their cards too early. They want to acquire that Bitcoin at the price that it is in the market today without causing it to rally further. So I think there's real, and this is a prediction for 2025, there'll be more nation state adoption of Bitcoin, potentially as a strategic reserve currency, as we're seeing Trump is apparently going to deliver on when he goes into office. I don't think the United States will be the only one. I'm not even sure if they'll be the first one in 2025. That's probably my biggest bet, as we see other countries and companies starting to build a strategic reserve of Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and to zoom out even further, why does this matter? Who cares what the price of Bitcoin is? Who cares if there's a strategic reserve in the US? Who cares about the value of altcoins and how much value is locked in DeFi? I mean, the answer is, my firm belief, and I think many people building in the sector, is that open protocols are going to be the underpinning infrastructure for the global economy. Is it going to happen next year, in 5 years, in 10 years? We're going to have to see. I think it's going to take some time. And all of these steps are indicators about how close or how far that is, how advanced that mission is. And this isn't about, just to kind of provide a serious point here, this isn't about meme coins being necessarily a valid means of exchange, although they clearly are to some degree. It's more about how resilient is this technology, how widespread is it, how well understood is it, how robust is it, and how widely adopted is it by, let's call it, kind of mainstream global financial infrastructure. So this is why some of the excitement around real world assets is really interesting, because it's another wide element of the global economy that's starting to explore with crypto. So yeah, I think 2024 no doubt has been a big year of advancement of crypto and blockchain technology. I think there's been a few setbacks as well, and there's been a few kind of mixed signals around what the future might hold here. But I think the reason we're so interested in this, you and I think people watching this probably are, is it gives us an indication of how close towards that goal of a global open set of protocols governing our economic lives, and how far we're moving away from controlled, centralized, and in some cases untrustworthy centralized organizations doing it instead.
How do you see this kind of converging with the other super mega hype of tech in 2024, AI? We spoke a little bit about some of the crossover of crypto and AI in the past. Where do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, my kind of high level thesis here is that open protocols, autonomous agents, autonomous vehicles are going to become major, if not dominant actors in the global economy in the decades ahead. When it will happen, I don't know, but it's definitely coming just because there's an inevitability to some of these technologies. What 2025 might hold, we've seen some really interesting experiments this year. Sam, you've been tracking one of them, but there's a few AI agents out there that are operating, on behalf of individuals, trading strategies, some posting content and engaging in, I guess, what I call like marketing stunts. And all this stuff's really interesting because you're getting a glimpse of what the future might look like. I think we're going to just see more of that in 2025. We're going to see a lot more AI protocols acting as, if you will, autonomous trading systems on behalf of individuals that you can kind of train and engage with or follow, or what they call it, copy trade. Autonomous agents inside DAOs. I think we'll probably start seeing a lot more of that. But yeah, I mean, like zooming out, you think about crypto and blockchain's advance. AI requires this. You're not going to get a KYC'd autonomous agent making millions of transactions a year on behalf of an individual who has no idea what that agent's doing. You need some level of autonomous financial interaction. And that can only really come from blockchain technology today. No bank's going to allow that to run riot on its system. Is this a good or bad thing? I think that we're going to see some of these experiments won't go very well. We will see some drama. But there's an inevitability to this. It's more about understanding it, making sure it happens in a safe way, making sure that people have kill switches. That in itself becomes a centralization point, which has its own problems. But I think we're going to see more and more of this play out. I think we've all become accustomed to ChatGPT in our lives. Are we soon going to become accustomed to AI agents acting on our financial behalf as well? And I think we'll see some more of that next year.
It's really interesting. I think, like you said, a lot of the seeds have been planted. We've seen Coinbase come out with a wallet solution specifically for autonomous agents, so allowing AI to basically manage their own funds without the need for human intervention. We've seen a lot of these experiments you've mentioned, Truth Terminal being the one that I think is really interesting, which is not only creating content on Twitter, but is also building businesses or starting to. In fact, raised, I think, $50,000 worth of Bitcoin, which is probably worth even more now, from Mark Andreessen. So it's happening. And I think we're only going to see more interesting experiments like that next year as well.
Join us as we accelerate into the future.
Exactly. Okay. I think that's everything we've got for this week, Daniel, unless there's anything else you want to dive into.
That's it. Love doing this, Sam. Hope everyone's enjoying watching this. We're going to try and do these every week if we can do it. And if you're enjoying it, this will be one of the first full-length ones that goes out live. Stay safe out there and make sure that your assets are secured in a non-custodial way. See you later.
See you later. Not financial advice, educational purposes only. See you next week.
Not even that, to be honest.
There might have been some element.